Good afternoon, and thanks for joining us on Across the Fence. I'm Joleil Whitney. Today is one of my favorite programs of the year and one of my favorite topics, books. There are 185 public libraries in Vermont, and one of those libraries is in Westford. And the library director there is our guest today, Bree Drapa. Welcome back to Across the Fence.
Thank you.
I'm always happy to have you on. And first, some advice if you're maybe a parent trying to get your kid into reading. What are some tips this summer?
Well, it's important just to keep reading. That's the most important thing. So let your kids read what they want to read. Let them get lost in a series. Go to the library, get suggestions, find time, let them see you reading too, because reading is really healthy and stress relieving for adults. Stop the doom scrolling, and just get into a book.
Absolutely, maybe something perfect for the beach.
Yeah, something to escape.
Absolutely. And what's your take on audiobooks?
I love audiobooks. Audiobooks can add a real richness to a book. They are a performance in and of themselves. They have great readers, great sound, great quality. It's not just a computer kind of reading the book. It's an actor and it's an experience. I love audiobooks during those long car rides when you might get car sick if you can't read in the car, or it just passes the time. Put one on while you're hiking, doing chores, make things go quicker. Or they just help those books that kids have to read over the summer, just get done. Maybe you can always listen to it as a family too and talk about it. So audiobooks are great, and they're not cheating. Some people say audiobooks are cheating. They are reading. You're making that mental movie in your mind. You're making that connection. You're hearing the vocabulary. They're not cheating. They're a great way to access books and stories.
Absolutely. We were saying this before the taping. Sometimes there'll be books with words that are hard to pronounce, so it gives you like a little cheat in case your friends start talking about it.
Yes, you'll always know how to pronounce those characters'
Absolutely.
names.
Very helpful. And is there a wait list with apps or audiobooks?
Yeah, so you can get free ebooks and audiobooks downloaded to your device with your library card through the Libby app. Most libraries in Vermont have the Libby app. Some have an app called Palace as well, and others, depending, they could have Hoopla or other things. But there are wait lists, just like a library. Your book is checked out online, so they're not available all the time, but you can put things on hold just like you would at your library. So check it out. They're really fun.
And I'm always impressed with what's available to borrow from the museum. You've got telescopes, you've got libraries, you've got telescopes, you've got museum passes. What else do you guys have?
Yeah, we have a lot of stuff. Some places have games, yard games, tool equipment, tents, sporting equipment. Depending on your library and what your community needs, it's probably got what you need. In that community, we also have parks passes, museum passes, kind of dependent on where you live. Might be more local museums. And this year, a few libraries here in Chittenden County are piloting a program with the Lake Monsters, and you can get free Lake Monsters tickets checked out from your library.
That's incredible.
Including the Westford Public Library. So, yeah.
Absolutely,
So,
and it reaches the point where those tickets are hard to find, so that's good to know.
Yes, and so it's a pun, but check out your local library for what they might have.
Absolutely. Now let's get into some of those books, and the first one you brought is from the Golden Dome Book Awards. Quickly, just tell us what that is before we jump in.
Sure. The Golden Dome Book Awards are Vermont's middle school book awards. They're recommended by a group of librarians and educators for our 4th through 8th grade population. So it kind of spans a big list, but they could be found at any of your libraries. And the first book that I brought today is the Sherlock Society. So when your last name is Sherlock, as a kid, you might as well open a detective agency.
I'm sure.
And this is about a ragtag group of kids. It gives me kind of a Goonies vibe in that they're in the Everglades in Florida and they're trying to find Al Capone's treasure. That's not how they thought their summer was going to start out. They were thinking we'll babysit, we'll mow lawns, and instead they're looking for treasure. There's a grandfather who's a great trusted adult in there, but he's funny as well. You'll learn about Al Capone, the Everglades, treasure hunting, and a lot of other things. And it starts with a yacht exploding, so what's better than that?
Pretty exciting.
It's just a fun book. And the second book in this series comes out in September. So if you read it now, you'll have a new one waiting for you in the fall.
Yeah, that's incredible. And how about Impossible Creatures?
Oh, well. This book is being touted as the next kind of Harry Potter for this generation.
Wow.
So this is a long-term fantasy in that it's going to be several books long. It is about a group of people, not just kids. There's no like school of magic. It's not copying Harry Potter, but there's a group of people, both children and adults, trying to save the magic that's left in the world. And it has implications for the magical world and the real world as well. So you have a group of people coming from this world, meeting up with people from the magical world. There's dragons, there's pirates, there's sirens, and all kinds of things. It's really incredible. And like what was great about Harry Potter is it takes real emotions, and it's sad at times. People die. Like, it's just very real. And I think it would make a fantastic family read aloud. So if you're a family that likes to sit around and have some quality time together over the summer, you could read this as a family and everyone would enjoy it. So, Impossible Creatures.
That's incredible.
And the second one comes out in the fall again.
That's perfect. And like you said, a series is a great way if you get your kid reading and they like the first one, you're like, just keep on going.
Right, exactly. Find one of those big, it's great for adults too.
Absolutely. And now let's talk YA. You have a chapter book called Sunrise on the Reaping, and this one we were talking about is part of a series that's pretty well loved already.
Right. This is a prequel for The Hunger Games. So I'm sure you've heard of The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. And you might be familiar with the movies, you're familiar with Katniss's story and all of that. This is the backstory for Haymitch. And it's really good. I would not recommend starting with this. Like, read the first original 3 books of The Hunger Games, and then you can read this. There was a prequel before this, too, that was longer. It was about snow. You don't need to read that one. This one is classic Suzanne Collins, Hunger Games. There actually is a games, and has all that suspense. It is incredibly sad when you figure out why Haymitch was such a tragic character in the original Hunger Games series. But there's plenty of little Easter eggs in here. You meet Katniss's parents, you meet Peeta's parents, and there's like a couple of things. If you're a true Hunger Games fan, you'll really, really eat this up.
Absolutely. Maybe read the first Hunger Games again in preparation for this.
You
Study
could,
up a little bit.
or watch the movies, listen to the audiobook.
Sure, anything.
One of those, yeah.
All right, enough with the kids. Let's talk about some books you have for adults. Let's start by
Okay.
Sandwich.
Okay, well, this is a cleverly titled book. This is Sandwich by Catherine Newman. This book really spoke to me. It's about the town of Sandwich on Cape Cod, but it's also about someone who's in that sandwich generation of having kind of grown kids and caring for aging parents. So if you are a woman in maybe perimenopause, maybe in your 40s, this book will resonate with you like nothing else. It is funny. It is sad. It is beautiful. It's expressive. She's a greatly flawed character. Points I felt like they were scooping out my mind and putting it right on a page, and I was laughing and crying within the same page of the book. So it's also small. It'll fit in your purse or in your bag on a plane. It takes place on a beach, so it's a good beach read too. I'd highly recommend Sandwich by Catherine Newman.
Yeah, that's incredible. How about Wayward?
Oh, Wayward. Okay, so I know we're not supposed to judge a book by its cover, but look at how beautiful the cover of this book is. This is Wayward by Amelia Hart, and it is one of my favorite books that I've read in the past couple of years. It's historical fiction and contemporary fiction with a tiny bit of magic thrown in.
Wow.
So it takes place over 3 time periods in England with 3 different women, and their stories are all kind of woven together. So they're all part of the same family, and you get pieces of their history as you're reading through. It's about witch burning, World War II, contemporary London. So there's a lot going on in there. It's also a story of female resilience. A lot of bad stuff happens to these women, and they get through it, and they carry on. And so it's just a beautiful book. And she has a new book out called Sirens. So if you've read Wayward and you loved it, read Sirens. And it has a similar 3-person storyline.
Yeah, it's always great when an author you love comes out with something new and you're like, well, I already know I like your other stuff.
Exactly. I'll be reading that.
All right, now tell me about Orbital.
Okay, well, this one, again, small. It fits in your purse or in your bag. This one takes place in space. So it is just there's nothing much going on. days go quickly when you're orbiting the Earth. So the sun rises and sets like 6 times during a normal day. And so this is about astronauts on the International Space Station. Nothing tragic happens, no hatch blows, no coup happens. They're not the last people on Earth. It's just an appreciation of space. It's beautiful writing. It's reflective. It won the Booker Prize in 2024 for that beautiful writing. And, you know, it's a book where nothing really happens, but I appreciated everything happening in it.
Yeah, that's incredible. Maybe if your life is already hectic enough and you want to
Right.
pretend you're on the ISS for a little bit.
Yeah, it's almost meditative, I would say. And if you
Absolutely.
like space, you'll like it even more after reading this.
Yeah, that's incredible. And how about the Briar Club?
Oh, the Briar Club, I don't have it with me because it's checked out.
That's just a testament to how good it is.
Exactly. So it's Kate Quinn, who writes great historical fiction with a little bit of romance thrown in there. This is a departure. She usually writes about World War II. This takes place in the U.S. in McCarthyism in Washington, D.C. So you've got the Red Scare and spies. It starts with a murder and walks back to the circumstances that murder took place in. And there's a ton of twists and red herrings that throw you off. Plus, it's just great characters, great development, and puts you into that time period.
Sure, a book you really can't put down this summer.
Yes, exactly. It'd be a great beach read, even though it's not atmospherically beachy.
Sure, it doesn't have to be set on the beach for you to like it.
Right, exactly. And it was a really good audiobook, too. It's read by multiple people for the multiple characters. So.
Some high production, incredible.
Yeah.
And you brought in a nonfiction book for us as well. What's that?
I did. So this summer's theme for summer reading is Color Your World. It's an art-based theme. And so why not read an art book this summer? This is a nonfiction book called The Art Thief. It's by Michael Finkel, and it's the true story of love, crime, and dangerous obsession. It's about the world's the modern, most successful art thief ever. This is no Thomas Crown or like dashing person. This is some kind of like loser guy who hides things in his attic and never shows them to anyone. He's just bold and daring. And it goes into his kind of psychology and motivation for stealing art and then not showing it to anyone or selling it.
Yeah.
It's just an odd story, but whoa, it grabbed me. And you can read it in about 4 hours. It's got some pictures.
Quick.
So it's a great airplane book.
Great.
Again, small. And you can stick it right in your bag.
Yeah, that's perfect. And every time we do one of these, I always like to recommend a book as well. And so I brought in Circe, and it sounds like you've read this book as well.
Have.
And it follows Circe, who you might know from Odyssey fame, and it goes through a bunch of different myths from back then. And so if you maybe read Percy Jackson or you grew up taking any Greek classes, it'll be a lot of familiar faces and familiar names, which is just a really fun read for anybody.
Right. I love these like kind of feminist retellings of mythology, putting the women central to the characters, not just the men.
Absolutely, and it's a great read, and I can't wait to finish it because I haven't yet. But anyway, that's all we have time for today. Thank you so much for joining us today. And that closes our program. I want to thank the crew behind the scenes here at WCAX. I'm Joleil Whitney. This is Across the Fence. Have a good one.